Welcome, everybody, to the program where we make fun of sales, training, and promotional films and commercials of the past. This is Cheezy Sales Cinema. My name is Jason Reid. I'm here, as always, along with my co-host, Chris May. Chris, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. Happy holidays. Top of the season.
Indeed. And, we're saying Merry Christmas, but, this is really an evening for people of all faiths, because really what we're celebrating here is not the religious celebration of Christmas, but the commercial celebration of Christmas, quite literally.
Let's be honest. Christmas, as soon as Hallmark was created, Christmas became commercialized. I was talking to somebody at work today, the jolly old fat man in the red suit, that we know as Santa Claus, the guy that runs through the malls and stuff. That was a character. That was an image that was created by the Coca-Cola company to help sell sodas over the holidays, because the Kris Kringle at the time was way too complicated of a character to try and sell anything around. So that's where that all came from. It's a big commercial.
It is. And for those of you who haven't seen one of our programs yet, you'll find...
I'd have to ask why. They're really good.
They are. Maybe people haven't come across them yet until this live. But what we do is we actually riff. Sometimes it's sales films. Tonight it's commercials. We play them. We react to the commercials. We talk about them. Then we do sort of sometimes a little review afterwards. So... and then the other thing with our lives is the ability to actually take your comments. So, Chris, why don't you give people a rundown of what they can expect in this program in particular?
Well, we are going to be celebrating commercials of Christmas past, not present, not future, Christmas past, because that's where things are going to be so much more fun. Jason and I are going to have an opportunity to discuss our favorite Christmas memories, and this is where we want you to start thinking about it right now. Start considering your favorite Christmas memories, because what we'd like to do in this unique forum is for you to send us yours, and then what'll happen is you'll see it on the bottom of the screen. They'll start to populate on the screen, and that way we can see your favorite memories and we can talk to you. It'll be a whole lot of fun. We're gonna have we have commercials from the 80s. We've got commercials from the 70s. We've got toy commercials as well. We've got a lot on the line. Jason and I think are going to talk about our favorite Christmas toys, if not our most. Because one of the things, Jason, that we're going to see in these commercials are wildly politically incorrect toys for the 2020s. But 50 years ago, these were the norm. And both Jason and I, being of a particular vintage, we've had a few of these toys. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's vintage, exactly. We've had, right? See, vintage. What am I drinking tonight? Ghost Pines, a California Chardonnay. There you are.
Hopefully they'll send us something for that shout out.
I hope so too. But so let us know the toy that you still have, or the toy that you remember, and you think to yourself, you shake your head, I cannot believe they sold that toy. Let us know your favorite Christmas toy. Let us know your favorite Christmas memory. I think, Jason, you and I are going to talk about Christmas party memories as well.
Yes.
Keep it PG, but let's have some fun tonight, man. Let's call this this is our Christmas party tonight.
Exactly. For those of you who can't do this stuff in person, and that's a lot of us, this is our way to celebrate. So
that's most of us around the world.
That's true. So, Christmas parties are something that are ubiquitous, and now, of course, in a lot of places they're called holiday parties because they take in more than just Christmas. And it's interesting because people have them with their friends and family, but we also have them in our workplaces. And I have some particularly interesting memories, being in television. When I was at the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation back in the 90s, we used to have our Christmas parties in these surprisingly small bars and restaurants. Like, we're literally shoulder to shoulder, which is weird now with COVID. So you'd be shoulder to shoulder with all these people that you see on television. So I remember, you'd get somebody like Peter Mansbridge, the newscaster, who'd be the MC. Wow. And then they'd have the Christmas giveaways, and it would be like Dave Foley from Kids in the Hall calling out people's names. So it's this familiar Christmas party theme, but it's all of these sort of celebrities and stuff that are the ones that are doing it, which are kind of fun.
I've never worked anywhere where there was a celebrity status. I have worked in entertainment most of my life, so I've always been working in an area where my job was to provide the Christmas party entertainment. I worked I worked for not a lot of years. I worked for a number of years out on cruise ships, and that was basically that was easily my favorite time of the year was Christmas, because first of all, it's not snowing.
Yeah.
That's number one. And next, we had a budget that was ridiculous to put on the biggest multi-faith celebration, and we covered everybody. It was such a great time. I'd like to call that a company Christmas party, but we were the party.
Yeah. And it's interesting you mentioned snow, because my most vivid Christmas party memory, work Christmas party memory, was actually after a Christmas party, an amazing Christmas party that was held in Casa Loma in Toronto, which is this big mansion shaped like a castle. And I left Casa Loma, as we all did, at the end of the night, and it had been snowing, just a horrible snowstorm. So it was suddenly from nothing, now there's 2 feet of snow on the ground. So, of course, traffic is at a standstill, and we're all waiting for cabs. And I'm thinking, I'm never going to get a cab because there's like 200 people here. So I decided to walk down Spadina Avenue, the main thoroughfare, to get a cab. And I'm walking, and I'm walking.
That was a great idea.
Yeah, and I'm walking, and every once in a while, a cab will come towards me and then suddenly take off, and I'm thinking, oh, what the heck's going on? Now, here's where it gets interesting, because I had attended the party, which was a formal, in my kilt and Prince Charlie jacket and black tie. So here I am in my kilt.
Why you're not getting picked up?
Well, hold on a second. It gets better. I've got the kilt, and then there's the woolen socks and everything else. And rather than using my long coat, I had on my trench coat. And at one point, I looked at myself in the window of one of the shops, and I realized with the snow that covered my socks, all you can see is a trench coat and bare legs. I looked like some sort of pervert or flasher walking around. It's like, no wonder these guys would stop. I had to walk all the way home. It took me 3 hours. It was crazy.
In the winter, when it was snowing.
In the middle of a snowstorm, yes.
I don't have anything to top that. I did. You're nuts, man. How does this shit happen to you? The closest I would come to that, I was at a again, for a television station. Yeah. We went into, the old mill in Toronto.
Yes.
You know how you've got to go down to get into that parking lot?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so it was pouring with rain when we were getting there. And I dropped everybody off, and then I went and parked the car. And by the time I had parked the car, it had already started to turn over to a bit of a slush, like a rain-snow mix, because this was late December. By the time we came out, the temperature had dropped like 15 degrees. It was an ice rink. You want to talk about fun? Remember I said you had to get down to get into that parking lot? Ain't nobody getting up that hill. It was like trying to drive up an ice slope. Nobody. People were going up, sliding sideways, and coming back down. Couldn't get up. It was unbelievable.
Yeah,
they had to come out and salt and ice and chip it.
That's when you don't want to be ahead of the boss's Porsche, You're sliding back down.
That's true.
Oh, you don't. And speaking of Porsches, this is probably a good segue to our first series of commercials, which I've done.
Oh, is it?
Have a very yuppie Christmas, because these are commercials that were done in the 80s during the time when conspicuous consumption was really in, as you'll see, and everything had to be big and fancy and everything else.
Including the hair.
Including the hair, and including everything associated with Christmas. So why don't we go there and look at that right now?
This party is being given by
this is opulent.
Beautiful women in the world.
Most beautiful woman in the world?
About her is noticed,
okay.
Even her fragrance.
She eats way too much garlic.
I don't know that anybody wants to be known for their fragrance. I don't care how good it is.
Because tonight called for an exotic, opulent fragrance. Cinnabar.
Cinnabon?
Cinnabar.
Now available at Higbee's.
At Higbee's, we be a fancy store.
I thought it said Cinnabon. And I thought it was from Applebee's.
That is a good fragrance, though. So have you ever put a cologne on and wanted to hang glide, Chris?
Never a cologne, never an aftershave, never done the hang gliding. Nope.
Especially over a pine forest, that just seems painful.
She looks a bit like Julia Louis-Dreyfus, actually.
It's true.
Did they just hook up?
Hang glide hookup. It was popular in the 80s. Everything's got to be just right because we're a yuppie couple and we have Canada Dry and people will be impressed.
Oh, man. The Yuppies were just such an irritating group, weren't they?
They certainly were.
See, I was too young to be a yuppie, and then I was too old to be a yuppie, and now I'm too old to be a hipster. I never really fit in.
No, none of us in Gen X did.
Dad, could this be your little girl?
LED windows in your bedroom? That'd be freezing.
This looks like something out of a horror movie. She's in a haunted castle.
Holy cow.
Yeah, that's a pretty big toy.
That toy would go for like $1 million in Toronto with the real estate prices.
Yeah, not the house they're in, just the toy house. The toy house would be over $1 million.
Sturdy to me. It comes with all the
Grandpa the house inspector.
rooms full of it.
And Grandpa's checking little girls' zoning papers.
Yeah, but this is better than anything I ever dreamed of.
It's bigger than anything you probably ever dreamed of, too.
She'll play with it for years, into her 40s, wondering why she can't get a man.
We're wondering why she can't get a man. Nice postscript for lovely Christmas sentiment. You're gonna be alone. Not sure why, but I can't hear you.
You know what, Chris? This would work a lot
There it
better if my mic was turned back on.
Oh my God! I thought I had to reboot my computer. I was like,
Oh,
"Oh
my.
yeah, nothing's working. What's happening? I am so embarrassed. This is me."
And Krista's saying you're muted. You know, this is just like every Zoom call that I've been on for the past year, you know? There's always someone
thank you
muted.
for
It
saving
turns
me.
out it's me this time around, right?
I was like, "Oh, my computer! What? No!"
Yes. So, yes, thank you.
So you were saying?
I was saying yes. So my folks were definitely not in that sort of yuppie kind of crowd. There was no Canada Dry. It was mostly Labatt's IPA and Craven A cigarettes.
Oh, I hate to say this, brother, but my parents were very much the Canada Dry crowd.
Oh, yeah?
They had the dinner parties where if they were at our house, it was the three kids, me, my brother, and my sister, and we were told, "You're not allowed to eat the guest food. This is the guest food. The processed cheese slices, those are yours. The real cheese, that's for the guest. The bread, the Wonder Bread, that's yours. The Melba toast, that's for the guests." And we were like, and then as soon as the guests would be like an hour from arriving, you all get the hell upstairs, and I don't want to hear anything from you. So yeah, my parents were totally into that.
Yeah. So, did you have any Christmas traditions? Everybody, there's your typical
Yes.
kind of holiday traditions, but then also
Absolutely.
different families and different people have specific traditions to them as well. So did you have any of those?
Yes, we did. I'll be honest with you. One of the things that I loved so much about my family growing up was that we had relatives who used to love to visit each other on Christmas Eve. Loved that. I loved seeing my cousins, whether it be from my mom or my dad's side, and I miss that because I mean, I know a lot of families do it. I don't, but for circumstances untoward. But I loved that cousins, aunts, uncles would come over, and we would give them their gifts. They'd give us our gifts, and so because it's the brothers and the sisters and stuff, right? So, and we'd get to open the gifts from each other on Christmas Eve. So there was always at least something to open on Christmas Eve. And then we were told to piss off down into the basement, and that's when my dad would break open, his rye cabinet, and all the aunts and the uncles would be into the wine and the rye, and then everybody'd be, and then of course back then there were no laws, so everybody would just leave. Bye, good night.
Back in the Old West.
Back in the Old West, and we'd be in the basement, and it occurred. I'd love that. It was the cousin come over on Christmas Eve. That was a big tradition around our place.
Yeah, I mean, my sister used to have tremendous Christmas Eve parties when I was younger, and she was a property manager, so she knew people in all these different buildings, and contractors would come, and they would always bring like huge bottles of expensive wine and gifts and
Nice.
stuff like that. So, and yeah, my brother-in-law was a musician, and my sister knew musicians, so there were always interesting people to talk to. So that was kind of cool. And then when I was about 20 years old, we got a different Christmas Eve tradition, and my friend Rob and I would actually go every Christmas Eve and have go to a Chinese food buffet. So that became our new Christmas Eve tradition.
That's a great
Yeah.
idea.
And then we also included his brother Kevin and our significant others. And this is actually the first Christmas in about 30 years that we actually haven't been able to do that. So next year is going to be one heck of a party.
Thanks, COVID. Thanks for screwing that up too. It never ends. It's a
Yeah.
giant game of pile-on. That is a great tradition. Chinese
Chinese
food buffet. I
And
love
we aren't
it.
even Jewish. It's great.
I know. It reminds me of the movie A Christmas Story.
Christmas story, yeah.
Yeah, when their dinner was rah 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 rah. Come on, everybody, sing! I loved it. Such a great moment. It's a great close to a movie.
Yeah. So, if you have a favorite holiday tradition, let us know about that. And okay, Chris, how about favorite Christmas memory in general? Just something, and when I say favorite, something kind of amusing that you still remember to this day.
I'd like to say amusing. I wish there was. I mean, again, the most amusing Christmases were the ones that were out at sea. There's no doubt about that. But I don't want to talk. I don't want to only talk about that. When I was a kid, we had a set of stairs that would go into the basement, and we'd be opening up presents, my brother, my sister, and I, and then we would just keep throwing the paper down the stairs, down the stairs, down the stairs. And the tradition was, as soon as all the presents were opened, the three of us would tackle each other and roll down the stairs into the giant pile of paper. So we love that. I'm going to say, because I was the first, obviously, because I'm the oldest, I was the first to leave home. And I was 19 or 20 when I did that. And I didn't, and I, no small potatoes either. I couldn't just go from, in town to downtown Toronto or something like that. No, I had to go to BC. So, my brother, sister, and my mom, because my dad sadly had passed away the year before, they came out and visited me. So we all hung, and the woman who was renting me a flat in her chalet in Whistler Creek, she said, "Yeah, fine. You're paying me rent anyway. I'm not going to be there. Your family can just hang out there for the week." It was awesome.
That's awesome.
Such
Yeah.
a freaking great time. From where I was working, I got everybody lift passes for Whistler Blackcomb for the time that they were there. It was outstanding.
Cool.
How
Wow,
about
that
you?
is a great Christmas memory. And actually, before I go on to mine, Krista Rowan, I think, who's also a big Christmas Story fan, says, "The dog ate your turkey."
I love that. So good. So good.
But yeah, probably my funniest Christmas memory. I mean, this goes back to when I was a little kid. My sister, who was very devious when she was younger, of course, she always wanted to get up as soon as possible to go and open her toys and stuff like that. But my parents had this rule that we couldn't get up until, I think it was 6. It was either 6 or 7. And what my sister did, because back then we didn't have phones, and all these things with the time on it, we had basically a couple of clocks. So and watches. So she got up and she turned the clock ahead, because it was only 4 a.m. So she turned the clock ahead to like 6 or 7, and then went to my mom and dad's watch and turned them ahead as well. Got them up. So my parents got up, and my parents would tend to, have a few drinks the night before. So I'm sure they only got like 2 hours sleep, and suddenly they were awake thinking it was morning. And it was really funny because we do like the typical Christmas thing. And then, my mom would be cooking breakfast later, and she'd look at her watch and it would say 10 or 11. It was still dark out. And she's like, "What the heck's going on?" Not realizing that she was up at 4.
What the hell? Why is it still dark at 10 o'clock in the morning? Oh my God, your sister sounds awesome.
She certainly is. She was definitely a character.
No, sorry, I have to ask, is she older or younger?
Yeah, she's 8 years older than I am. So
Cool.
she was always way ahead of the game when it came to, pulling scams and stuff on my parents.
I could only imagine it. So for you to be like 5 or 6, she would have been in her teens.
Yeah.
And she's like, whatever you do, say nothing or you're dead.
Oh, I had lots of secrets back then. There was
my
lots of, don't tell mom and dad
awesome.
this.
I'm just picturing your mom. Why? Why is it so fucking dark out? It's 10 o'clock in the goddamn morning. Oh, that's great.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, and now the other interesting thing for our age, Chris, is we sort of straddled that era of Christmas toys that went from, the non-electronic basic toys to like electronic games, and then into eventually computers and computer
games. That was
games.
the 80s.
Yeah.
If there was anything, I remember in the 70s I'm dating myself now. In the 70s, it was board games, and it was G.I. Joe, and it was Star Wars action figures. And then suddenly, and without any warning, 1981, 1982, it was those pocket computer games with the watch batteries in the back.
Yep.
Nintendo became a thing. Although Nintendo wasn't a game console, it was a small little handheld games. And suddenly my parents were like, oh, we've got something to keep them quiet in the back seat. This is great.
It's great. Yeah. So we've actually put together some commercials that actually straddle that era all the way from paper to computers. So let's have a look at that.
Hey, pop up, rub on, pop up the scenery world.
Do kids actually get gifts made out of paper and cardboard anymore?
Oh, no, not anymore. I used to love getting these. The pop-ups were some of my favorite things when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But then, virtual reality and artificial intelligence came in, and I kind of like that better.
The whole pop-up, stand-up, rub-on just has bad connotations these days.
Yeah, I don't know about the rub-on. I'm not crazy about that. And that company has been around forever. Oh, Evil Knievel!
It's the best toy ever.
Oh, I had this.
Wheelies,
Me too.
back stands,
And it did everything it was supposed to.
somersaults. And for that big jump, here's Evil, up and over that 4-foot ditch. Evil Knievel.
That was an amazingly engineered toy, and it never broke. It lasted forever.
Some special Christmas
Ideal.
gifts
I
from
love that
Radio
toy. That
Shack.
was so much fun. Mine broke, but only because I decided I was going to play it in the basement and run it into the wall.
She fell in love with them. They're cuddly animals with a radio inside.
Yeah, they're great to listen to Marilyn Manson or Howard Stern to.
And a white terrier, a country mouse, and a
Boy,
chow
things used to be
dog.
affordable back then.
Gift.
Kids today wouldn't know what a radio is.
The Petable
Kids today wouldn't know what
Portable Radios,
$15.95 is.
$15.95. Only at Radio Shack, your Christmas electronics.
They also don't know what Radio Shack is.
Special Christmas gifts from Radio Shack.
Okay, we'll open just one.
Radio Shack.
Yeah.
is an
Oh, I
incredible
love these
selection of
toys.
Games no one can resist.
Just think about all the battery sales back then, Chris.
Fast action maze.
Yeah, they were all watch batteries, though. Like impossible to keep up with.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Rogers made it to this commercial.
We were just
Yeah, my dad always had a tie on at Christmas. No, sorry, he always tied one on at Christmas.
Yeah, there you go.
Only at Radio
That's what I was
Shack,
going to
your
say.
Christmas electronics store.
Kenner proudly presents Star Wars Electronic Battle Command, the computerized...
The fun you could have with a grid full of dots.
I see you. Battle stations.
So basically, all this is just a glorified version of Battleship.
Has computer scanners, force
Kind of, yeah.
visible shields. Fire! 3 levels of play: basic, intermediate, and advanced.
Yeah, but doesn't add any further quality to the game.
Not really.
Star Wars Electronic Battle Command from Kenner.
That was me, Christmas 1979. That was my
Christmas
gift.
from Radio Shack.
Really? You got one of those Star Wars?
Oh, yeah, I still have it. We'll talk about it in a bit.
Oh, man, you are so lucky you held on to that stuff. Is this a computer?
It is, believe it or not.
An education center.
There are over 30 games.
I like how it said cassette recorder not included. Remember those?
She's right.
What?
The screechy fax sounding recorder that all your
that's right,
games
yeah.
came on?
Even learning how to
That was before the floppy disk.
Save
Yep.
$100 on the TRS-80 color computer. Only at
The
Radio Shack.
TRS-80, I remember that.
There wasn't even an internet back then.
No. Not even close. Still decades away. What is this? The Atari ET. The most ill-fated game in the history of Atari.
That's right.
Let you help E.T. get home. Just
And hey, they were expecting to make lots of money on it. ET was big, Atari was big. Why not put them together? There we go.
So what happened to the ET game? I heard there's an urban legend that they took the entire supply of them when they realized this is a bad idea, and they dumped them in a desert in Arizona or California. They buried them in a desert so nobody would ever see the thing.
Well, I actually did some research because we were talking about this, and I remember seeing a documentary on it. So I went online today. So the ET game, Atari didn't sign the deal until really close to Christmas. So the developer only had 5 weeks to develop the game. So it wasn't a really great game. There were a lot of bugs in it too. So what happened was they were so convinced, because this is the first time, one of the first times a video game had been tied to such a popular movie.
Right.
So they were thinking they'd sell about 3 million of these things. And they were left with a whole bunch after Christmas because people just didn't buy them, or people returned them afterwards because they were so lousy. So they buried, according to an Atari spokesperson who now admits that this happened, buried 728,000 of the ET cartridges in an Arizona desert.
Arizona. It was Arizona.
Yes.
That is the most ecologically, that's as bad as the Valdez oil spill.
Well, it's interesting because the documentary that I saw, they actually dug them up. So I don't know if they removed them or not, but I know they actually dug a hole there because there was this urban legend, and the movie producers wanted to see if these games were there. So there was actually more than just the ET games, but yeah, apparently 728,000 of the ET games ended up there.
I don't know if that's sadder. What's sadder, that or the rest of them actually sold, and people were disappointed with this really crappy game.
Well, it's probably a hot commodity now in the vintage market, like anything.
Oh,
that,
it would have to be.
Right? So
everybody thought, oh, this is a disaster. Let's get rid of it. But then fast forward 50 years, and people are like, ooh, I wouldn't mind getting my hands on that piece of crap.
Yeah. And, speaking of holding on to stuff, I didn't hold on to hardly anything at all. I actually moved at one point when I was in television. I moved, I think, 13 times in 10 years. But yeah, it was crazy.
Dude.
But there was one box that I had forgotten, and I'd left at my parents'. And apparently in that box was a Star Wars Electronic Battle Command, which I obviously still have. And it's still got,
like it's in great shape.
Well, yeah, it's got the nice yellow patina that came from, playing it in a smoking household for the first 5 years or so. And it works absolutely fine. Takes a lot of batteries, though. Takes, I think, like 6 or 8 AA batteries.
Oh,
and
man.
I had to go online to relearn the rules and stuff, but it actually isn't bad for one of those handheld games. It's actually kind of cool.
I can't believe you have that. That 6. How many AA batteries? 6.
It was either
8?
6 or 8. I'll have to check.
Good Lord, just hook it up to your car.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. Like, Everready and Energizer and all of those guys, they must have made a mint at Christmas. And speaking of electronic toys, Kristen mentioned Merlin too. Remember those? Those were sort of from that middle era between the computer games and dinosaurs and paper.
Merlin. Oh, what was another one I had?
There was
Quiz
Simon,
Whiz.
Quiz Whiz. Yes, I remember
Quiz
having
Whiz?
that too.
I loved Quiz Whiz. Quiz Whiz could keep me up. Unfortunately, I guess I was kind of fortunate to have this happen. My dad was an engineer, so we moved an awful lot. Not 13 times in 10 years, mind you. But my dad, again, this is where I guess I get it from. Well, he'd move us like different places in the world because he would get transferred places. And so I was on a lot of airplanes as a result. Lots and lots and lots and lots of planes. And Quiz Whiz used to keep me occupied for whole flights. Yeah, I just flip through the pages and go through the quizzes, I didn't retain anything.
Yeah,
but,
so there was this book of questions, and then on the other side there was like this electronic keypad where you would sort of key in the question number and then key in the answer number, and it would tell you if you got the question right or not.
Loved it. Absolutely loved that game. But I loved Merlin. Merlin with the 4 different colors, which is kind of, I loved the card game Uno too. So I guess I was already in love with those 4 straight colors. So a favorite Christmas toy? It depends on era for me.
Yeah.
For me anyway, when I was a little kid, favorite Christmas toy, hands down, bar none, anytime I got a new Star Wars action figure in the late 70s, early 80s. And then when I became a teen, a little older than that, records. Anytime
Yeah.
I got a record. And that has held me right through to my current age. And records
So we
are
get you
still
either
my
an action figure or a record.
Oh, yeah. But it has to be a Star Wars action
It has to
figure.
be a Star Wars action figure.
I loved Star Wars. Love my Star Wars action figures by Kenner, I believe they were.
Mm-hmm.
And I always had a laundry list of records that I wanted to get, and I've still got all my records.
Cool.
How
yeah.
about you? Favorite
Oh yeah,
toy?
I mean, yeah, the Star Wars stuff I lived off of as a kid, but I'll tell you that Evel Knievel stunt cycle, that actually got better with age for me, because I remember when I first got that, we were living in an apartment, and then we moved to a house, and I could go outside with it, and it was just. I abused that thing for years, and it did everything it was supposed to. It did the wheelies, it did the jumps, it was perfectly balanced. It was an awesome toy.
Well, when I said I was running mine into a wall, because did you see in the commercial when they pushed down and they had the shock absorbers in the front? Yep. So I used to love to in the basement. You know, in the 70s you had the faux wood. It was like this thin little freaking
the wood paneling. Yeah,
the wood paneling is just terrible stuff. And I used to run it into the wood paneling and watch either the shock absorbers absorb the shock, or it would flip up into the air and then crash. And then I would do it again and do it again. It just made me laugh.
It's amazing what amused us back then.
Oh, for sure it did, because we didn't have the internet.
Yeah. No, we didn't. But what we did have was we had an era where political correctness and this idea of, the choice of toys affecting, society and that sort of thing wasn't even thought of. So there was a lot of both boys and girls toys that were, for the boys' toys, sometimes they were violent. For the girls and the boys' toys, they were often what would be considered sexist now. So why don't we have a look at those, and let's start with the girls' toys.
You remember the first game you were baby
playing? This is a tender moment. Mom and child playing peekaboo. Yay.
And then Mom got bored a week later and thought, let's get a doll to do it for me.
As soon as the daughter was old enough to say words, it's like, oh, you know what? You're a drag. Here's a doll. Play peekaboo with a doll.
She's a real charmer, just like your baby.
It's fake. It's a doll.
Mom's a Stepford wife, apparently.
Oh, good call.
Sabrina, Kelly, and Chris.
Charlie's Angels.
Here we go.
And this is Charlie's Angels, Kelly.
Here's Charlie's Angels, the slalom cape.
Ooh, they got some James Bond skiing gear here.
Ooh, the slalom capers. Okay.
Got some spotted. And later, you can imagine Kelly changing into something really glamorous. Angel, I have
an evening gown. Are we allowed to do that nowadays?
I don't know. It's always good to wear a scarf so your enemies can choke you, though.
Oh, you're easily strangled. Oh, look at this.
What the
They just made the doll skinnier.
Man, talk about causing body dysmorphia for your child years later.
You get a doll that everybody loves, and now the girls want to look like that, and there's not very many ways. There's no way in the world you can look that skinny and long.
Yeah, especially since the high fashion look at that time came from diet pills and heroin.
They even called it leggy. Again, so inappropriate.
Dad, how would you like me to make you something?
Words every father hates to hear.
Oh, that means that we're going to have fake food.
So real looking with my play and make. The toaster popping up and down, the blender turning.
So it's plastic toast, but real Kool-Aid.
I'd go with the plastic toast for nutrition.
Wow, they broke the bank and included the Kool-Aid packages.
That is some good. That's a big brand.
Cookie, the girls are coming over.
This is what happens when your child doesn't have enough friends.
And Jell-O. This is a Jell-O brand product. Yeah, this is Mom saying, I'm not going to help you make Jell-O. I don't have time for that. Here's a creepy animatronic doll. Get it to work with you.
I might get one for my girlfriend. She's always asked me to help around the kitchen more.
Send the creepy sweet cookie.
What the heck?
I love my Easy Bake Oven. Do you know how to work it?
Oh, my sister had that exact same one, the avocado green.
And when it's done,
It looks like an oven that came out of a hospital.
And when the pie was open, the bird began to sing.
Yeah, bird not included in your pies.
Enough mixes to make all these things. And now
I can still remember the smell of those cakes, though.
It's Kenner. It's fun.
Yes, there was certainly one Christmas there where I had more Easy Bake Oven cakes than I could possibly deal with.
That looked so institutional, that oven. It did look like it came out of an asylum. What was that?
Well, the avocado green was a big thing back then. Well, here's the other thing, right? I mean, the toys were always like about 10 years behind the time for real life. So it was in that weird thing where it was reflecting more of the 60s love for avocado green than it was the 80s love for avocado green.
There was not a lot of love left over for the avocado green in the 80s that I remember anyway. I also want to know at the end of that commercial, what was with everything falling down? Like, how is that selling the Easy Bake Oven? Everything falling apart. That's not a good selling feature. Buy this and everything will fall apart.
Yeah, I think it was more just trying to visually catch the eye of the kids. Because let's face it, it's the kids that ask for this stuff, not the parents. And you never actually think of your toys wearing out. And that's the weird thing is you always have this idea in your mind of what the toy is going to be like before you get it. And it's always these really high expectations.
100%. That's the same with cars nowadays.
But yeah, I mean, not to get off topic, but it's like those things you would send away for in the comics.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's like, oh, wow, like glasses where I can actually see through my hand? That's amazing.
And then you get it, and all it is it's got this crazy filter that's been set inside of it. And you look at it, and it's painted. It's a skeleton hand painted on the inside of the glass. It's like, this is a ripoff.
Exactly. And Krista remembers the Easy Bake Oven. Yes, cooking by light bulb. Yeah,
that's what it was. It was just a light bulb.
Yeah, it was a light bulb, and I'm not sure if it worked with other recipes or whether there was something special about the Easy Bake recipes that allowed them to cook by light bulb. But
yeah, I don't know that you could throw a pizza through that. I think it was basically what they gave you.
Although, you know what? I'm sure that the later Easy Bake Ovens, they actually did have little mini pizzas that you could bake in them.
I was not around for that era. I don't remember that. My sister, I think my sister, who was the only one that would ever get that, obviously, probably had grown out of it by that point, or my parents just didn't allow her to have anything that plugged in.
There we go. So we've looked at the girls' toys. Let's look at the boys' toys. And these are taken to the next level in terms of, what you'd look at today and go, oh my goodness, I can't believe that they sold that stuff.
Yeah, this is pushing it.
All right.
Are you kidding me? He's creeping up on him with a gun.
Hi, fellas.
Whoa. I need an outfit like that for these lives.
Hold on a second. That's the real Roy Rogers.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll surprise them once, and then the toy will be useless.
And here's how the quick shooter hat works. Just press this secret button.
Of course, you're lucky to surprise them once because they've probably seen the same commercial.
Pops out and fires. It's your secret weapon, even when they think
that kid's pretty good.
That was the most tedious Christmas ever because everybody got one of these hats and nobody could surprise anyone.
Deal's new Roy Rogers quick shooter hat at your favorite store today, and you'll always be ready for anything. Ask for Ideal's new Roy
And you wonder why we have a problem in America today.
Oh, just wait, Chris.
Oh my gosh.
Jungles went Pressman toy makers looking for something new. The secret they brought back for you.
If you wondered why there were so many serial killers in the 70s, this is what they were weaned on in the early 60s.
What is going on here? What are they doing?
They're making shrunken heads.
In minutes you can add monster hair. Paint it with a coloring kit included. Or make up your In 24 hours the heads shrink down. Now shrunken.
You are kidding me. This is so inappropriate. This is ridiculously inappropriate.
On so many different levels.
Head shrinkers kit.
Oh my God.
Hi, this is my friend, the Grumman Tiger. It's a jet, and I'm...
It's a jet. Well, good. I thought it was a horse.
It takes a lot of training to control one of these babies.
I thought he said it was a friend.
Wayne will learn someday. Right now, though, he's getting ready by learning to control a Lionel...
train sets. Well, that's nice and wholesome, isn't it?
With a Lionel
should be.
train,
except...
you not only get locomotives and
what?
cars, but all sorts of missile and rocket equipment, too.
Oh,
what train set comes with missiles and rockets?
One out of North Korea, and it launches?
Fire this IRBM launcher by pressing a button.
It's an ICBM.
You're destroying your own train set.
You can put this target together and blow it up again and again. And look
What
at this, the Lionel helicopter car. Watch her fly.
I guess they needed more kids to go to Vietnam. I'm flabbergasted at this.
Oh my gosh, this is the train set brought to you by the Cold War. More guns.
Okay, kid. Oop.
Some fun when Snubby Gun plays Private Eye, and you can have the same kind
Now imagine going onto the street these days as a kid with one of these guns.
With a Tommy gun. Oh my God, it really cocks too.
Pull the bolt again, you're reloaded.
Did you see this?
Or fire single shots like a rifle.
Back when you could fire this stuff and your neighbors didn't even, flinch or bat an eye.
You can put guns everywhere.
The pistol fires greeny stickum caps and shoots safe shooting shells.
I just can't imagine going on the street with one of those things today.
Wallet, badge, and ID card.
Do you know how fast you would probably be gunned down yourself?
Yeah. This kid, I think, ended up in a tower in Austin, Texas a few years later.
Oh, this is appropriate. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, good. Let's celebrate slavery and the Confederacy.
Yay, the Confederate flag.
Give him a hearty welcome and hurrah, hurrah.
What year is this commercial?
This would be probably the late 50s, early 60s.
Okay, so we're still 100 years away from the Civil War.
Yeah. I just can't imagine kids in Lebanon or Yugoslavia wanting to recreate their Civil War like this.
I don't. Holy fuck, I can't believe you said that. That is fantastic. I never thought of that.
And we'll all feel gay when Johnny comes marching.
We'll all feel what?
They'll all feel gay when Johnny comes marching home.
Remco's authentic Civil War.
Oh, there's nothing right about this commercial. This is the worst.
Loader, cannonballs.
But let's face it, a cannon that actually shoots actual cannonballs, Chris, is kind of cool.
Toy, and so do girls.
I don't know. I guess it is.
Have the girl be a nurse.
Yeah, the girl has to be a nurse. Exactly. That was wildly and brutally inappropriate.
Yes, it was, but it was highly entertaining.
Very entertaining. I'm still shocked and disgusted by the shrunken head commercial.
Yeah,
I can't believe that happened.
There was actually a whole era of monster toys. In fact, there was a monster kit that was sold in the comics that famously got banned. And I think there was even, it was mentioned in Congress or something like that, because it had these monsters and mad doctors, but then it also had these female victims and stuff too.
Oh no! Come on.
Yeah, it was really inappropriate. So, I mean, thankfully it got taken off the market, but the whole monster, shrunken head, cannibal thing was just so big in that era. There were monster magazines. I don't know if you remember those. They were really
but I don't remember them selling shrunken head kits. Of course, that was a long time ago. I wouldn't have even been 10 years old at the time. But oh my gosh, I can't believe that anyone would have found that even remotely entertaining back then. But I 2020 vision revisionism.
Quite literally 2020.
Yeah, really. So, yeah, you're right.
Now, did you have any politically incorrect toys when you were growing up at Christmas?
I did. I used to love cowboys and Indians, and I remember there was a photo of my dad and his brother, so my dad and my uncle, and I used to love this photo because I don't know if you ever had this experience where you hit an age where you're like 9 or 10. Or maybe a little bit older, and you look back and there's a photo of your dad that's either your age that you are then or even a little younger. You're like, whoa. That's when you realize, geez, Dad's a real person. He actually was a kid at some point. He hasn't always been this big guy always. And there was a photo of him and my uncle, and I guess they'd been playing Cowboys and Indians because, again, this is the 50s for them. No, the late 40s, because my dad was born in 40, so he would have been 8 or 9. And I was like, I want to do that. So we had Cowboys and Indians stuff, and therefore there were guns. Now, my dad was 100% anti-gun, so he never liked the fact that a cap gun came in our house. But we did have Cowboys and Indians stuff in our house, and we did have feathered headdresses. And, I didn't understand anything back then because it was not taught in school. and I'm glad that we have grown up since then. And I really, I don't even say, like, I'd like to say I'm ashamed of it, but I didn't know it was going on. I don't have any of that stuff. Obviously, I got rid of all of it. But when I think about that, I just cringe, man. Photos I have of myself playing with those toys, I have since destroyed.
Yeah, and it's interesting because there was one toy that I got that even back then, my mom really didn't like, and she actually told my dad she thought it was horrible. And it was, let's face it, for a kid, it was kind of cool. It was this cowboy and gun set, and it was electronic. So it was sort of this typical, you knew he was a bad cowboy because he was dressed in black with a black hat, probably about a foot tall or something.
So it was an actual cowboy. It wasn't a costume. It was
no, an actual plastic cowboy. And it was jointed and it had springs on it. And it had an electric eye on its chest. So you would take the pistol, which basically fired like a light beam, and you'd point it, and if you were able to aim right and hit him in the chest, he would actually fall down and crumple. And then he would stand up again.
You were killing somebody? Oh, Jesus, who thought of that?
My dad thought of that.
A lot. Oh, my God, that's terrible.
Yeah, I remember my this is like probably 1980, right? So like, nobody else is batting an eyelash at this. My mom said, yeah, this just doesn't seem right. I don't like this toy.
I don't. Here, shoot it just in the right spot. You can kill it.
Yeah.
It's funny. Cultural appropriation has come into play, but still what do you say about the video games now, though? For some reason, video games get away with it today, where you can hunt, you can pillage, you can murder,
run people over,
abduct. I'm basically just describing what's that Fast and Furious video game?
Grand Theft Auto?
Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Any version of Grand Theft Auto. There's a lot of laws being broken in that. They get away with it because it's a video game. But if you come out with a toy that does that, whoa, got to shut that down.
Yeah. I guess because a lot of people figure a lot of adults play video games. That's the only thing I can think of. But yeah, it really is weird how, we get hung up on certain things, but then we let other things kind of slide. So
yeah, that was definitely happening back in the 60s and 70s with the friggin' shrunken head toys. God almighty.
Yeah. So
we're asking you, who's watching us right now, and maybe you're watching us while we're doing this live, or maybe you've just happened to cross us. You're thinking, oh, I missed the Christmas party. I will never, ever, ever do that again. I swear, I missed such a good time. Fill it in anyway, because Jason and I will always go back and cover these topics in later episodes of Cheezy Sales Cinema.
Exactly. So yeah, let us know, any un-PC toys that you've had. And another thing that I want to ask, so we're going to change gears here, because there's another thing that is really associated with Christmas that we haven't talked about yet, which is holiday food. So
easy one for me.
What's
easy
that?
one for me. I went out and bought more of it. Now, do drinks, not alcoholic beverages, but do like drinks count?
Absolutely.
Okay. I am a sucker for eggnog. I love eggnog. I don't drink it anymore. I haven't actually drank a glass of it in probably 20 years, but I have eggnog. I have gingerbread eggnog. I have what's the other one that they have? There's a bunch of different there's candy cane flavored eggnog.
Yes.
I will have 3 or 4 different flavors of eggnog constantly in my fridge, and I use it as my coffee creamer now. So, and it is legit the best. I love eggnog.
Eggnog, yeah. Eggnog is amazing, and for those of us who love eggnog, it's one of those things where, man, this should be available like not just at Christmas, but all year round.
Remember the Easter cream egg? Not to get off Christmas, but the Easter cream egg. Now they just call it the Cadbury cream egg, and you can get it all year round because the demand was there. I say the demand has to be there for eggnog around the year.
Yes. So if you're somebody who manufactures beverages, just think about that. Year-round eggnog.
Year-round eggnog.
Yeah. So for me, holiday food, besides obviously the obvious Christmas dinner, butter tarts were a big thing, although, I love butter tarts all year round.
So do
They're
I.
still like my favorite dessert.
I can't believe
my
they were a
mom made-
Canadian invention. I did not know
Yeah.
they were created in Canada. I did not know that.
Yeah, and there's certain places in Ontario you go around and you can find all sorts of handmade butter tarts now, which you couldn't before because people didn't make them at home, so nobody ever thought of buying them at a bakery or a restaurant. But now they're all over the place. But the other thing too, Christmas morning, a big thing was sausage rolls. So my grandmother used to always make sausage rolls for Christmas morning, and we used to, I would get up with my parents, we would open up our gifts, and then my extended family, we all lived fairly close to each other. So we would all then go like around 10:30 or 11 to my grandparents' place. I would always go early to help them out, but there was method in my madness because I would be the first one to get the sausage rolls.
You were not a dumb person. You listened to your sister, you learned from your conniving, mischievous sister, and you mastered the craft of sneakery.
Indeed. And it's interesting that you mention Kraft, because when we think of gourmet holiday food, there's really two brands that come to mind.
Right.
Number one is Kraft. Number two is TV Guide.
Yes.
So, for those of you who are wondering what we're talking about, back in the 70s and 80s, Kraft Corporation used to sponsor all of the holiday specials, and they used to show you how to make all of this stuff with Kraft products, but you had to buy TV Guide to get the recipes.
I love Kraft products today, still in the 2020s.
Yes, and there's a lot of fat, and there's a lot of salt, and there's a lot of sugar, but boy, this stuff was good. And the one great thing about the Kraft commercials was how well they photographed food.
Well, when you've got that kind of a budget, you're going to do it absolutely right. And the thing that I love the most about Kraft was they did cheese better than everybody. So, and the cheese may have been processed. I don't even know. Yeah. I don't know what chemicals they used to put the cheese together, but I really didn't care because if it came out of a squirt gun or a jar, or you could cut it off a brick, I was eating it.
Yep, 8 different kinds of cheese, courtesy of Kraft. So let us now get your snacks ready because you're going to be hungry. And we're going to look at Kraft and Christmas food.
More choo-choo trains. They're going to have missile launchers. Oh, no, this is different.
Say happy holidays with these strawberry almond bars.
Ooh.
You blend buttery tasting parquet margarine and brown
buttery tasting margarine as opposed to margarine-y tasting butter, I guess.
I guess you'd have to be right there.
Almond bark. Cool.
Look at how that is delicious.
They always made these things look so good.
Make this Yuletide apple dip for a hostess gift.
Oh, an apple dip. That's a nice idea.
Apples and onions with delicious Kraft.
So it's a gift, and you're making it out of mayonnaise, and you got to wrap it up and put it under the tree for how many days?
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. Here's a Christmas gift, but enjoy it right now.
Treat someone to the fine art of snacking with Cheddar Crisps. Cracker Barrel brand sharp cheddar cheese makes them special.
I loved Cracker Barrel sharp cheddar.
Oh, yeah.
Add crushed potato chips.
Oh, potato chips and sharp cheese? Oh, man.
Seasons eatings that say seasons.
I got to make those this weekend. I got to find a TV Guide.
That looked pretty easy to make.
Start with Velveeta processed cheese spread slices. There's no single cheese.
I know I shouldn't like these, but I love Velveeta.
And pepper rings, and add a special holiday spread of chopped vegetables and parquet margarine. A beautiful way to give the seasons.
Yeah, I want a sandwich tray under the tree.
Recipes are in TV Guide magazine.
Mommy, how come our Christmas present smells like fish?
Make your tree trimming a party with Kraft TV special recipes.
I was going to say, make your tree trimming party a wonderful event with booze.
You make it
what is that?
Processed cheese spread. There's no single cheese.
It's a spinach dip. What did you think it was?
I don't know.
Combined with sautéed vegetables.
I thought maybe they had a dog.
And serve in a sourdough bread shell for an eye-catching party platter.
Eye-catching? Yes. Tasty? I'm not sure.
These festive
it's delicious. Oh, wings.
Spice to your table.
I thought wings were a 90s thing. I didn't even know they had them back then.
Well, that was wings and barbecue sauce back then. That was the spiciest that white people got.
This is a bit of a white commercial.
No buffalo wings yet.
Yeah, they dipped it in something stupid there. Where was the blue cheese?
Whip salad dressing adds a tangy zip. Combine with sour cream.
It always does add a tangy zip.
Then top baked potato slices and garnish with chives and
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah. And look, they turned it into a Christmas tree. If that was my mom, she'd just throw it on a plate with a side of cigarette ash.
Side of cigarette ash. Hey, look, more white people.
Yep, it's the Kraft demographic, white people.
This colorful cheesy fruit dip brightens your holiday party.
Cheesy fruit
you start
dip.
With applesauce, pecans, and
That
cinnamon.
group of singers were a cheesy fruit dip.
Bread, the marvelous microwave in a minute cheese sauce.
Cheese whiz.
Applesauce mixture. Serve with sliced red and green
The ultimate food.
Love cheese
Start
whiz.
your holiday supper with these hearty sandwiches.
Mm.
Combine sausage, ground beef,
This looks
Kraft
really good.
100% grated Parmesan cheese.
Made with mostly sawdust, we know now.
Brown with onions and
I
green
hope
peppers.
not.
Add spaghetti
I still
sauce
like it.
And serve in crusty French rolls.
Don't check the ingredients.
Favor your guests.
Why are
with
there
this
pieces of
cheesy
music on all the
zucchini
food?
casserole. Start with Kraft macaroni.
Oh, I had this
yeah.
like basically for lunch every day when I was a kid.
Oh my gosh, even back then it was at its 50th anniversary.
Serve this satisfying dish.
Yeah, I can't see zucchinis improving Kraft dinner.
This marinated vegetable
It can't hurt it.
is as easy on calories as it is to make.
Okay, something that's
Combine crunchy
non-fattening.
fresh vegetables with Kraft
Oh, well.
zesty Italian reduced calorie dressing.
Oil dressing.
Calorie.
Add
Yeah,
greens
reduced
and
calorie, I
sauce,
guess.
Then enjoy this tasty
Oh,
salad.
that is, and I love
Kraft
salad.
TV
That looks
special
good.
recipes are in free store folders and in TV
Yeah,
Guide
my mom
magazine.
basically made all the recipes she found in TV Guide.
I wish we could get TV
New
Guide.
Year's Eve party calls for festive
Wow, look at
desserts
that. Look
made
at the
with Kraft
setting.
TV
Like,
special
how
recipes.
beautiful that table set.
What makes this apple tart?
I want to buy
lush?
this house.
Yeah, these
You
guys were
do,
pros.
With the tart taste of cranberries, apples, and the
Oh,
mellow flavor of
cranberries and apples would be
100% natural
delicious.
Kraft
This is such a
mild cheddar
great ad.
cheese. Prepare a cheese pastry. Place over the fruit
Just prepare a
mixture
cheese
and
pastry.
bake.
That'll take you
Turn
some time, but we're going to show it
Yeah.
to you like it's
Put
20
more
seconds.
cheese.
Simply prepare a cheese pastry. Step 1. Wait a minute. How did I get to step 1?
Cheesecake, so smooth with Philadelphia brand cream
Wow.
cheese.
You had me at
Philly
Philadelphia
cheesecake
cream
batter with
cheese.
Sour cream, instant coffee, and
Instant
cinnamon.
coffee.
Pour over
Instant
a crust
coffee?
Wow.
Oh, that is interesting. I'm intrigued by that now.
Dessert.
I want to make one of these tonight with a coffee.
Chocolate orange mousse.
I'm gonna have that with a
So
coffee
easy
and
when
those
you
potato
start with
cheese
Kraft
crisps.
Miniature marshmallows. Melt them with milk. Add semi-sweet chocolate pieces.
Uh-huh.
Fold in whipped cream. Spoon into your best glassware.
Oh my
Garnish
goodness,
with
gra- these
orange
are-
and mint leaves.
that is
Flavorful
decadence.
celestial seasoning
Yeah.
herb tea is a perfect dessert
It probably takes more than the 20 seconds they did to show it to you, though.
TV Guide magazine.
I would hope so,
Wow.
because I don't want everybody making them.
Beautiful.
Here's a special offer on a great stocking stuffer. This poster with characters from tonight's show is free at participating
Well, it's
stores.
better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was the stocking stuffer was going to be mayonnaise.
Tomorrow's paper for special
I love
savings
the way this
and
commercial
store
was going. Yeah,
And there we go. You know, I'm
was
thinking
delicious.
of mayonnaise as
Wow.
a stocking stuffer now.
I'm salivating. I love the side of cigarette ash. I'm still laughing about that. God.
Well, you know, that's what, excuse me, that's what happens when you're a regular smoker.
My goodness, that was so funny. Those were some fantastic dishes. Those were absolutely gorgeous. My mom was a huge fan of Velveeta, loved Velveeta.
Mm-hmm.
And we had the Velveeta brick, and then we also had the Velveeta slices. And basically all the cheeses we had in our house were either, and you name it. It was any version of either mild, sharp, marble, Kraft cheese everywhere. We were a Kraft family, huge. I invest in Kraft now, as an example. I have shares in Kraft. I'm a clone.
So we should basically let people know that you have these shares so that, you know, we can be transparent about the reason we're showing this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yes. It had nothing to do with the fact that I also have an addiction to friggin' Cheese Whiz. You wouldn't, I mean, I shouldn't, especially at this age, but you put Cheese Whiz on a hot dog. I probably shouldn't be eating hot dogs either, but Cheese Whiz on a hot dog is, oh yes.
I go through a large jar of Cheese Whiz about every 2 or 3 weeks.
Still today?
Yeah.
Damn. Okay, I don't do that.
Don't know what that says about me, but there you go.
Hardcore.
So you love the Kraft products. Another question. Did your mom make the recipes like in TV Guide and those women's magazines? Did she experiment
Absolutely.
casseroles
100%.
and stuff like that?
Okay, listen to this. There was always the drawer in the kitchen. You have your silverware, you got your spoons, and right? There was always, I think it was the third drawer or the bottom drawer where my mom kept her recipe. She'd go find me that recipe in the recipe drawer. And I would go, and it would just be this mishmash of shit in this drawer. And it was stuff she'd either ripped out or whole TV guides, whole women's good housekeepings, the Reader's Digests. She had recipes freaking everywhere. Oh, here's the other one. She used to have, I used to love this. She'd go, get me my phone book. Remember phone books before PDAs, right? And before smartphones? Get me my phone. My mom didn't actually talk like that. Get me my phone book. And and the first 70 pieces of paper that would come out of her phone book were goddamn recipes. And that she would have ripped out of TV Guide before my dad because my dad would be like, throw this out. We've got too much junk in the house. My mom, whoops, gotta rip that out. Oh my God, she had recipes from all these magazines everywhere.
And I remember casseroles being the big thing because everybody had a crock pot too. And if you were having a party, the whole idea is you make the casserole ahead of time. You have it in the crock pot. And then they all seem to have like wieners and sausages. And they were all like the weirdest stuff. And
it is true.
I would think that half the people who wrote those recipes did it as a joke. Yeah, somebody's going to make this stuff. Let's just put 16 sausages, some Miracle Whip, and...
I think the people that were making these recipes were college students.
Maybe.
Whatever I'll be honest. Hey, for those of you that are watching this right now, either live or maybe you're watching this, later on. Like I don't want to timestamp it or anything, you see. Casseroles was essentially casserole. It comes from casserole, the Italian word for shitty meal. Right? That's what casserole is. The English called it casserole. It's Italian for shitty meal because they were terrible. Whenever I had two working parents. So my dad, as I mentioned earlier, an engineer, he would be off to work at 7 and he would arrive home at 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And my mom was a dance teacher. So we always had a lot of babysitters when we were little kids. And it was always a freaking casserole. And I wonder why I had problems with sodium and water retention. Because basically what these damn casseroles were.
Yeah, at least we came a little bit after the age when Jell-O molds were all the rage. So it could have been worse.
You are so right. It could have been liquid sugar, gelatined sugar. You and I would have no teeth today.
Probably not. All right. So as we start to finish up here, Chris, any other memories you want to share or anything that you'd like to bring to our audience before we draw to a close tonight?
Only this. Does it need to be funny or can I?
No.
Okay. This year is a really messed up year. Okay. It's a really messed up year. 2020's Christmas. I am begging, pleading, urging people, please, for the love of all that is merciful and mighty, shrink your bubbles, please. Let's get through this pandemic of 2020 so we can have the greatest, most rockingest Christmas in 2021. The worst thing we can do now while we wait for a vaccine to become readily available to all the world is to let down our guard and lose so many people who we will never even see for Christmas of 2021 because of our negligence. Please, my God, please, let's all be safe this holiday season so we can party like there's no tomorrow. Because if we screw this up now, there may not be a tomorrow. So let's just have fun. Let's keep the Christmas party lines open. Let's do it all virtual. And we're going to have a ridiculously good time once we can take those ridiculous masks off. Right, Jason?
Exactly. And if you need help, this is going to remain online at this exact same address. So whenever you need an injection of Christmas cheer. Just watch us again. We don't mind.
Or something crazy to laugh at. Or here's something. If you're looking for some way to, if you think that your family traditions are dysfunctional, just watch this and see how more dysfunctional it used to be, and you feel good about yourself.
And as Chris said, keep on commenting. Even if you're watching this after the live, put the comments in. We read them all. We will respond to them all. It's been great having you here. Very Merry Christmas and a fantastic 2021, especially once we all get vaccinated and we get back to normal. Chris, we are going to really tie one on this time next year.
We are going to be, first of all, we're going to do it together in the same room, and there's going to be probably a room full of people. And if you become one of our favorites, you might actually be at that party. So subscribe today. Go back and watch some of the episodes you may have missed. Stay with us for episodes coming up. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. Stay safe. Stay strong.
Merry Christmas. See you next time.